Hello there, AP World History students. My name is Luis Silva, and today we're continuing on with the Greeks, and in this case, conflict in the Greek world. Before we move on, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, and also to share this video so that we can help out more students get ready to take that AP World History exam. But what will we learn today? Today we're going to identify the ideas and impact of important individuals, including Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and we're going to describe the diffusion of Greek culture by Aristotle's pupil Alexander the Great and the impact of Julius and Augustus Caesar. Our main focus for this presentation will be on Alexander the Great. This is a map of ancient Greece from about 750 to about 550 BC. Mountains divided the Greeks into independent city-states, in this case like Athens, and also Sparta. Access to the sea increased trade, as well as cultural diffusion or the sharing of ideas with other cultures. It's very important for you to understand what cultural diffusion means and how it impacted the Greeks in this case, as well as other cultures they came across with. The Greek city-states, especially Athens, developed cultural innovations that are still used today, which transformed Greece into what we know as a classical civilization. And here are some of the legacies that the Greeks came up with. In this case, culture. We have Greek language, as well as the Olympic Games. In terms of the arts, we have drama and poetry, as well as classical architecture. Science and technology, we have Euclid's geometry textbook, as well as an accurate estimate of the Earth's circumference. And in terms of government, we have direct democracy, and we also have a code of laws. Greek wealth and innovation made it a target to outside invasion. Persian kings, Darius and Xerxes, tried, but they actually failed to conquer the Greeks in what we know as the Persian Wars. After the Persian Wars, the Greek city-states, led by rivals Athens and Sparta, fought each other in what we know as the Peloponnesian War from 431 all the way to 404 BC. Let's move on. The Peloponnesian Wars left the Greeks very weak and also open to foreign invasions. After the Persian Wars, the Greek city-states, led by rival Athens and Sparta, fought each other in the Peloponnesian Wars, and this obviously had a devastating effect because it only weakened the Greeks, and many people actually wanted to conquer them. In 338 BC, King Philip II of Macedonia attacked and conquered the Greeks, but he died soon after. Macedonians view themselves as Greeks also, and share much of their culture. King Philip II hired one of the most famous people in world history, Aristotle, to tutor his son Alexander the Great. King Alexander of Macedonia becomes a very important individual in world history. Alexander was only 20 years old when he became king of Macedonia, but he proved to be ambitious and a brilliant military leader. Once in power, Alexander began to expand his empire, as you can see the map to the right hand side. You're more than welcome to pause this video so that you can review this map and how Alexander was able to expand his control. Alexander the Great is known as one of the greatest leaders of all times. As you can see from the map here, he basically conquered the entire world at that particular time period. Alexander began his conquest by crushing Greek revolts in Thebes. He ordered the death of 6,000 people and sold everyone else into slavery. His brutality convinced other Greeks not to rebel against him. Alexander the Great set his sight on the Persian Empire and began his attack by conquering Egypt. Egyptians actually viewed Alexander the Great as a liberator. In 331 BCE, Alexander attacked and defeated the mighty Persian army led by King Darius III. Alexander was able to destroy the capital of Persepolis. Alexander led his army all the way to India and was able to conquer actually India. After taking the Indus River Valley, Alexander's troops begged him to return home after 11 years away from their homes while conquering, like I mentioned before, the existing world of that time period. By 323 BCE, Alexander had conquered a massive empire and began plans to govern and unify his kingdom, but he fell ill and died at the age of 32. This is basically a map of what Alexander the Great had conquered, and if you add the United States in there, as you can see, his empire was actually bigger than the United States itself. And this is something really important because nobody else had actually done this prior to Alexander the Great. Now, Alexander left behind an empire and a very important legacy. He was able to spread Hellenistic or Hellenic Greek innovations and culture throughout his empire. In each territory he conquered, Alexander left behind a Greek-style city named Alexandria. Very important legacy even up to today. Alexandria in Egypt was the most significant of the cities and best represented Hellenism, the spread and blending of Greek culture. So you see that Alexander plays an important role in world history. Now, Alexandria became the center of Hellenistic culture and trade for the Mediterranean world. Alexandria had a museum and a library that preserved Greek, Egyptian, Persian, Indian cultures and attracted scholars for centuries. So people who wanted to know about everything that went on around this period, they would travel to Alexandria. And here is a picture, an image of how we believe that Alexandria in Egypt looked like. This seems like a modern city. This seems like a city that has everything. So no wonder it attracted so many people, scholars from all over the world. And even going today, Alexandria in Egypt is a place where literally hundreds of thousands visit every single year. And here we have a map and a timeline of how Alexander the Great was able to move and conquer the entire existing world at that time period. And we need to know that when Alexander died without a son, his empire was actually divided among his three top generals. Alexander's empire was the largest of the classical era, but it was very short-lived, only 13 years, and was never unified or governed, just like Alexander actually wanted to do so, because remember, he actually died and was not able to fulfill everything he wanted to do. And now let's summarize who Alexander the Great really was. He was a military genius and well educated. His interest in Greek history and culture, as well as Persian, Egyptian, and Indian ideas, led to a vibrant new culture, Hellenism, that shaped future civilizations. But his empire did not last long enough to compete with future empires, such as those ruled by the Romans, as well as the Mongols. Very important individual in AP World History. Now, as a closure activity, I want you to think about this question. Which emperor was greater, Darius of Persia or Alexander of Macedonia? Please provide 3 reasons and make sure that you are able to explain in details who the greater leader, emperor was of this time period. We have come to the end of this presentation. Please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to like this video, and please make sure to share this video so that we can help out more students get ready to take their AP World History exam. And do not forget to watch the next lesson, because we are going to begin focusing on the Romans. And I will see you in the next presentation.